His hazel brown eyes locked with mine and he flashed a smile. My heart fluttered as he nodded at me when he passed. For the first time in my life, I was speechless. My friends giggled next to me and judged me lightly, teasing me, and they whispered, "Malik and Jamie sitting in a tree, Kissing." But before I continue, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click that notification bell. If you do, you'll get 7 days of good luck. So back to my story. Malik Johnson came to Charleston about 2 weeks ago with his mom and dad. The way he strolled through the hallway with confidence, you wouldn't believe that he was the new kid on the block. We had one class together, maths, and that was my worst class ever. Every time the teacher called me to answer a question, I would just sit there with a blank expression on my face. Malik probably thought that I was such an airhead. My friend Sophia would tease me and say, "Well, we know who the bright one in the family would be." On Saturdays, I volunteered at the animal shelter while attending to Pixie, a playful golden retriever. Sally, the animal shelter supervisor, walked up to me with none other than Malik at her side. "Hi, Jamie. We have a new volunteer today. I was hoping that our best volunteer could show him the ropes." "Hi, Jamie," Malik said, giving me a little wave. "Oh, the two of you know each other. This makes it even better. Malik, I now leave you in the capable hands of Jamie." With that, she turned on her heels and left us. I cleared my throat and focused my attention once more on Pixie. "Hi, Malik. What brought you to this neck of the woods?" "Well," he said, leaning forward to pat Pixie, who licked his hand playfully. He continued, "I always wanted a dog, but my mom was allergic, and this is the closest thing that I can do to get one." He sighed heavily. "I know that feeling all too well," I said, looking up at him. "My dad's allergic, so the only pet that I have at home is a goldfish named Spike." He looked at me with a raised eyebrow, and a smile spread across his lips. "Spike?" That afternoon was one of the best afternoons of my life. We had so many things in common, like rock bands, places we visited, subjects at school that we don't like. I showed him how to clean the kennels, give the dogs their medication, and then we took the dogs for a walk. After saying goodbye to Sally, Malik offered to walk me home. When he got to my house, he gave me a slip of paper. "What's this?" I asked as I opened it. "It's my number. Maybe you could give me a call sometime." He waved goodbye and I floated to my room on cloud 9. The next night, I got a frantic phone call from Sally. "Jamie, 2 of the dogs are missing." "What? Which 2? I said as I flew up from watching the TV. "Hercules and Pixie." I froze. Hercules was a Saint Bernard. He and Pixie came to the shelter around the same time. "I'm heading out to look for them. I'll let you know if anything comes up." I explained to my mother what the situation was. "I don't think it's a good idea for you to head out alone. Do you have anyone you could go with?" "I'll call Malik," I told my mom, surprised with myself. "He's another volunteer at the shelter." I ran to my room to change my clothes and to call Malik. I called the number, but a female voice answered the phone. "Hi, my name is Jamie. May I speak with Malik, please?" The female voice hesitated. "Hi, this is Mrs. Johnson. Malik isn't home right now. He went to meet his dad after work. I will let him know that you called." With that, the phone line went dead. I left my bedroom and made my way to the front door. "Mom, I'm leaving," I shouted. Her head peeked from the kitchen. "Did you get on to Malik?" "Yes, he will be meeting me at the shelter, so we can look for the dogs," I lied. "Okay, keep me informed. I hope you find them." I nodded and left home. I sort of felt bad for lying at my mom, but I knew she wouldn't let me go alone. After searching for about an hour for the dogs, I ended up in the park. It was deserted at this time of night since it wasn't well lit. I knew it was risky going to the park alone, but if it meant finding Hercules and Pixie, then I was willing to take the risk. "Hercules! Pixie!" I whispered loudly as I walked through the park. I heard rustling behind me. I stopped and turned. Hercules? Pixie? Nothing. I began to walk again, but this time a bit faster. I heard footsteps behind me, but I was too afraid to look back. I began to jog, but with the lighting so poor, I tripped and fell. Almost immediately, I felt a hand on my shoulder and I screamed. "Jamie, it's me," a familiar voice said. I looked up and there was Malik. He extended his hand and I took it. "Are you okay? What are you doing in the park?" I explained the phone call I got from Sally. Then I said, "I also called your mom and she said that you went to meet your dad." Malik scratched his head. "My mom and I had a huge fight. I guess she just made up that excuse because she was a little bit embarrassed." "What did you guys argue about?" I asked curiously. Malik and I walked through the park, keeping our eyes open for any signs of the dogs. "We argued about what we always argue about, me wanting to go back home and seeing my friends again." "Here isn't that bad now, is it?" I asked and stopped. He looked at me and held my hand. "Actually, it isn't." My eyes lowered to the ground as I blushed. To my delight, he didn't let go of my hand and we continued to look for the dogs holding hands. After 30 minutes, I sighed heavily. I need to get home. I don't understand where they could be. I'm sure they'll show up, Malik said, squeezing my hand lightly. He walked me home and we said our goodbyes as we stopped at the front of my house. Over the next few days, Sally and Malik and I posted up pics of the missing dogs. We got closer over the next few days and began to spend more time outside of school and the animal shelter. Friday afternoon, during math class, Mr. Barnes paired the students to complete a project together. Jamie Paris, you will be paired with Malik Johnson. Malik looked at me and smiled, and I smiled back. Mr. Barnes said, "This project is due on Monday." The class groaned and the bell rang. I grabbed my book and left the classroom. So I heard you got partnered with a somewhat math genius to do a math assignment, Malik said as he fell into step next to me as I left the school building. Oh, is that right? When I get an A+ on the assignment, then I will believe the part about my partner being a math genius, Malik laughed. Why don't you come over about 6 p.m.? My mom and dad won't be home until 8, so we would have some time to work without being disturbed. Maybe we could order some pizza. Sounds good, I said. Hey, Malik! Someone called from across the schoolyard. I'll catch up with you later, okay? I nodded and walked as he ran off in the direction of the sound of the voice. After 6 p.m., I was standing outside Malik's house and I rang the doorbell. Coming! I heard a voice on the other end say. A few seconds later, Malik opened the door. Hi there, welcome to my abode. Wow, I said as I stepped into the house and observed my surroundings. Malik's house was heavily draped and dark. It's really dark in here, I said as my eyes tried to adjust to the dark. Yeah, my mom is big on saving the whole earth thing, so we don't put on lights and stuff unless it's necessary. Don't worry, he said as his hand found mine. I'll guide you through the dark. My breath caught in my throat as Malik maneuvered us all the way up to his bedroom. The brightness from the light of his room made me squint my eyes. I hope you like pepperoni, he said, pointing to the 2 pizzas and soda on my desk. Oh crap, I said as I slipped my forehead in frustration. In my hurry to get here on time, I forgot to walk with my laptop, I said with a sheepish grin as I looked at Malik, feeling embarrassed. It's okay, he said. My laptop is up and running and ready to use. Why don't you open a Word document to get us started while I grab some cups of ice? I nodded and headed to the desk where his laptop sat. I sat behind the desk and was about to open up a Word document when a notification popped up. Hey Malik, where are you? We are missing the life of the party. We have some fresh meat here that's good for the taking. Sent by delicious_vampire18. What the hell did I just read? I thought to myself. Fresh meat? Something caught my eye at the back of the table. It was a small silver pendant. I reached for it. Pixie. The golden retriever's name was engraved on the pendant. Another notification popped up, this time in the form of a video. It showed 3 people tied up and 2 girls looking over them with their fangs out. What the hell? I stood up quickly and the chair fell. I grabbed my things and Pixie's pendant and headed down the stairs. I made it out of the house without Malik seeing me, or so I thought. Outside under the streetlight with his arms folded was Malik. Hey, where are you going? He asked as I reached within ear range. My mom called me and said that there was an emergency and I needed to get home right away, I said, not looking in Malik's direction. You mean on this phone? Malik asked. I looked in horror as I recognized the phone that was in his hand. It was mine. So, he said as he stood directly in my path, are you going to continue to lie to me? I don't like liars. I looked into his eyes and they weren't hazel anymore. Red eyes glared back at me. I gulped and twitched nervously. I saw the message from delicious_18. So, are you a vampire? I was more curious at this point than scared. I mean, we all grew up with Count Dracula stories, but we all knew that vampires were mythical beings. I am, he said with a smug smile. But how could that be? Aren't vampires allergic to sunlight? I asked. I asked more so just to fill in the awkward stretch of silence between us. Some vampires, yes, but I am a daywalker. Half vampire, half human. My dad fell in love with a vampire. She decided that she would stop drinking human blood, but she would drink animal blood instead. Pixie and Hercules, I gasped as I squeezed Pixie's pendant in my hand. I backed away fearfully. Don't be silly, Jamie. You can't run, and unlike my mother, I will suck you dry. His fangs popped out and I screamed. Then everything went black. I woke up and realized that I was tied to a chair and my mouth was gagged. I screamed and struggled against the ropes. I heard hushed, angry voices coming from the next room. I hushed and listened closely. We have no choice but to take her with us, dear. It's the only way. We can't afford to be exposed again, a deep male voice said. Why can't we just obey the damn rules? We have rules for a reason. If he wasn't my son, I would have taken him to the council myself. I recognized that voice as Malik's mother. Just then, the light flickered on and I watched as Malik walked into the other room. Boxes. There were a lot of boxes. Uncle Pete said he's on his way, Malik said to the people in the next room. Well, Malik, I hope you were happy with yourself. I watched as Malik's mother walked up the stairs as though I wasn't even in the room. For the next 2 hours, I watched as the family packed up everything they owned. There was a honk outside the house. You, Malik's dad said to him sternly. Watch her while your mother and I pack the van. Malik sat on a chair next to me to keep an eye on me. I continued to struggle against the ropes and he laughed. Soon you'll be one of us, he said. I pulled away, disgusted, and began to scream, tears streaming down my face. Once the house was empty, Malik came back with a rug. He untied me from the chair and rolled me quickly on the rug and swung me on his shoulder. I heard the front door close. We were heading towards the van. I heard the struggle, but the rug was too tight. I fell asleep in that rug that night, dreading where I would wake the next day. Beams of sunlight danced across my face. I slowly opened my eyes, wondering what fresh hell was awaiting me. My heart jerked as I realized that I was home. I was in my own room, in my own bed. I felt a wave of relief wash over my whole body. It was just a dream. None of it was real. Vampires weren't real. Pixie and Hercules were okay. I breathed a sigh of relief, and I dressed quickly and got ready for school. I couldn't wait to tell Sophia about the dream that I had. Once at school, I met Sophia by her locker. Hey, Jamie, did you see the new guy yet? Huh? What new guy? I asked, searching the faces of the hallway. There he comes. There he comes, Sophia said excitedly. My eyes came face to face with him. He was here at my school. Malik! I told my friends about the dream that I had, and they just laughed it off. Needless to say, while my friends goggled at Malik, I kept my distance. For the next 3 months, he felt like nothing but a bad dream. I called Sally at the animal shelter and told her that I had too much schoolwork and I wouldn't be able to make it to the shelter. She said that was fine since they just got a new volunteer. I came to school the next day, and Sophia told me that the night before, Malik's family had mysteriously left town. Rumor has it that his father was a fugitive of the law, and that's why he and his family left. At least Pixie and Hercules are still safe and sound at the animal shelter. I thought everything was fine, and I was starting to move on from my bad dream, when suddenly the phone rang. Hello? It was Sally. Jamie, she said frantically. What is it, Sally? Jamie, 2 of the dogs are missing. I felt my jaw drop.